guys. So we are going to, first of all, those of you in the way back, if it's hard for you to see, you can certainly come and sit over here if you want to, okay? So anyone in the way back that would rather come up and sit and see better, you can. All right, so today what we're gonna do is go on to another law that helps us solve triangles that are not right, okay? They're called oblique triangles. And yesterday, I'm gonna actually go to the second page here. Yesterday, what we talked about is law of sines, and we talked about the fact with law of sines that you could use law of sines if you were ever given two angles in a row and then a side. So that's angle, angle, side. And it also worked if you had an angle and then the side and then the other angle, so it's angle, side, angle. Both of those ways, if you're given that, you want to start with law of sines, okay? But unfortunately, law of sines doesn't work for any triangle or every triangle. There's also two other situations you can get that you have to know how to do. And in that case, we're going to use something called law of cosines. The formula is harder to use, but if you guys have a graphing calculator, everyone has one today, because today is important that you know how to punch this in. And I do have a couple more up here, so if you don't have one, please come get it. But where law of cosines works is if you know, like this is 10, this might be a 60-degree angle, and this is 20, where you have a side angle side situation, or if you know the three sides of a triangle, and that would be like 5, 8, and 9, something like that, where you have side, 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 okay? So that is a chart that you have on your cheat sheet that we will be using to know which way we're gonna start them. But for today, the ones that they are going to give us are all gonna be side, angle, side, where I have two sides with the included angle. And then tomorrow, we're gonna be given side, side, side. And I think we have, I'm pretty sure tomorrow is the day Rachel's coming, that you guys know from last year. Do you know who I mean? She was with Miss Herrick, right? So I think tomorrow she's coming. She won't be teaching yet, but she'll be here on Fridays for first hour, so. Okay, so for today, we're doing side angle side, and we're using these three formulas. We will be using the side, side, side ones tomorrow, okay? Now, these look like they're harder, and we'll go through them step by step so you know how to punch it in. The one thing I do want to show you, if you don't want to keep looking at the formula, I just notice if you're looking for A, it would be A squared equals the other two sides squared added together minus 2 times the 2 that you just had squared times cosine of angle A. So if that's A, this is A. So again, B is here, the other two letters are here, then they're also going to be there, and it's cosine of whatever angle is opposite B. But you certainly don't have to memorize those. You do have them on your cheat sheet. Now, yesterday, when we did law of sines, you could do it in any order. And what I mean by that is, say you had to find side B and side C, you could do it in any order. It didn't matter. But with law of cosines, it does matter. So when you have a side angle side triangle, you have to do it in this order. These notes are also on your cheat sheet. So what's gonna happen with side angle side is you're gonna be given a triangle. Okay, and let's say this is A, B, C. Opposite angle A is little a, opposite angle B is little b, opposite angle C is little c. And let's just say for this one that what we know is we know little b is 5, we know little a is 10, and we know angle C is 60. Okay, that's what they gave us in this one. So it's side angle side. So what this says is use the law of cosines to find the third side. So you're already gonna know 2 of your sides. We have to find little c. So you would come back to your formula sheet, and for little c, you're using this formula right here. So you write that whole thing out, and then I'll show you guys how we go step by step and solve that. Once we find little c, so I'm just gonna make it up. I'm gonna say this is 12, or no, 7, okay? Once I find that, then I have to go to this rule which says find the smallest of the 2 angles that are left using law of sines. Find the smallest of the 2 angles that are left. What is left is angle A and angle B. Now notice angle A is across from a side that's 10, B is across from a side that's 5. There is a rule in geometry that the smaller angles are across from the smallest side. The biggest angle is across from the biggest side, okay? So A is across from a 10, B is across from a 5, which one would be smaller? B, right? Do you guys get that? So we would find that, and then once we knew angle B, let's just say this ended up being 40, okay? Then would it be easy to find A if you knew these two, right? You'd add them together, subtract from 180. So the one disadvantage of law of cosines is that you have to go in that specific order. So let's go ahead and try one of these. Okay. Notice that we have side angle side in this one, and I'm gonna label that opposite angle A as little a and opposite angle B as little b, okay? And then I always write down what are the 3 things I need to know. I need to know little c, I need to know the measure of angle A, and I need to know the measure of angle B, okay? Now, according to these rules that we went over, you use the law of cosines to find the third side, and I need C. So it might help you to have your cheat sheet out so you don't have to keep going back, but this is the formula for C squared, okay? That's the one I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go back to that problem, and you're gonna copy down the formula for C squared. Okay? Now, C is what I'm looking for. A is 8 squared. B is 13 squared minus 2 times A is 8, B is 13, and then I know the angle of C, so it's cosine of 64, okay? What we're going to do, just watch this first. We're gonna go on our calculators and we're gonna type this side in, the whole right side. That is gonna give us C squared. What would I have to do then to get C? Square root. So watch up here for a second because I want to show you something. So first of all, we're just going to enter in the 8 squared plus 12 squared, that whole thing, okay? So let's do that. 8 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times 8 times 13 cosine of 64. And did you guys get 141.81? Now that is c squared, okay? Now one thing I haven't shown you guys yet that I always use in this section because it's helpful on your calculator, you can go right now and go second x squared to get the square root, but to get the most accurate answer, you want to take the square root of this whole thing, and we can call that down here by going second and then this negative key down there. And so what that's doing is pulling that under the square root, and it'll give us the most accurate answer. So then if we round that to 2 decimal points, it's going to be 11.91. Did everybody get that? So C is 11.91. And then that goes right here, and it goes right here. Okay? Now what we have to do is find either angle A or angle B. But again, if we look back at the rules, it says find the smallest of the 2 angles that are left. The smallest of the 2 angles that are left. A is across from an 8. B is across from a 13. Which one's going to be smaller? A. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do law of sines that we learned yesterday. And we have to do C and little c because we know both of them. So it's going to be sine of c over little c. And then we just talked about the fact that A is going to be the smaller one because it's across from the 8. So then I would go sine of A over little a. Now this is back to what we did yesterday. So I'm going to go sine of 64 over little c, which is 11.91, equals sine of A, which is what I'm looking for, over little a, which is 8. Okay? And now I have to do cross product. Okay? So I am going to multiply these two and multiply these two. And I'm actually going to do the one that has sine of A on the left. You don't have to do this. I like to have the sine of A on the left when I do my cross products. And so then I'm going to do equals 8 sine of 64. Okay? And we need to solve this. Now, this is a touch different than what we did yesterday. First of all, what do you think we would do? Divide by 11.91. This looks like what we did yesterday. And we talked about the fact that you have to hit enter here. However, how this is different is when we get this answer, it's sine of A. It's not our answer yet. So let's type this in, and we're going to go 8 sine 64 enter divided by 11.91, and you get this 0.6037. Okay, that is not a angle. It's too small. You'll never get an answer for an angle that's less than 1. That number right there, whatever it is the sine of our angle. How do we then find our angle if that's the sine? Second sine, absolutely. So again, to get your most accurate number, you're gonna go second sign, and then we're gonna try to pull this number down there. So we're gonna go second answer, enter. Okay? And does this look like an angle versus that first one? It does, right? So our measure of angle A is whatever that was, 37.14. Okay, that's the measure of angle A, and that we're gonna put right here. Okay, now your last step is easy because now you know two of your angles and you add them together and subtract from 180 to find the one that you're left with. So the last step is easy. I know angle A is 37.14. I know the other angle is 64. So I just add those two together. 37.14 plus 64, which is going to be 101.14. And then I'm going to subtract that from 180. Did you guys get like 78.86? Does that sound right? Let me know if I do that mental math wrong. All right, and so that is your answer. So it is harder than yesterday. It has more steps. You're using your calculator a lot, okay? So let's try one more that is like this. So in this one again, what I do first is I look at, okay, this is little a, that's little c, this is little b. Now again, just by the way I did these problems, it turned out that the side we're looking for is little c, and that's just by chance, the ones that I picked. Now we also need to know what the measure of angle A is, as well as what the measure of angle B is, okay? And now we're gonna start, and you can always look at that rules that are on your cheat sheet. It says use the law of cosines to find your third side, okay? So I have to find little c, and on your cheat sheet, you guys have these formulas, and we're using c squared. So we're gonna do that same formula that we did at the beginning of this one, but it's not always gonna be c squared. It could be a squared, b squared, or c squared. Okay, now what we're gonna do, this is c squared, that's what I'm looking for. A is 7 squared plus b is 10 squared minus 2 times a is 7, b is 10, and then it's cosine of 73. Okay? Now, when I go to do this, do you get that I would punch that whole thing in, and then to find c squared, if it's c squared, how do I find c? Square root, right? So let's punch that whole thing in. It's 7 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 7 times 10 times cosine 73. Did you guys get 108.09? Okay. That is c squared. How do I then find c? Square root, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I can keep it in my calculator, and I can go second x squared to get the square root, and then I can call that answer down by going second answer down here. And when I do that, I have 10.395, okay? That 39, what would that round up to? 40, right? So my C is going to be, was it 10.40? Yeah. That is my C, okay? I put that here for my answer, and I put it here. All right? Now, if you're wondering, what do I do next? You have those rules, and the second thing you do is you take your find the smallest of the two angles that are left using the law of sines that we used yesterday, okay? So here is the deal. You look at what we did yesterday, first we have to decide which one's the smallest. B is across from 10, A is across from 7. Which one would we find? A. Now we're doing law of sines, okay? So what we're gonna do there is we're gonna go sine, and you always have to know one angle and its opposite side. So we're using C and little c. And then that equals, we decided we have to use A, so sine of A over little a. Now one thing I've seen kids get confused on, you guys, in this first part you're using your cosine. In this bottom one you're using sine. So don't get confused about that. Now sine of C is sine of 73. Little c is 10.4. Sine of A is what I'm looking for. And little a is 7. Okay? So now I'm going to do cross products. And like I was telling you guys, I like to have the one with the sign of an angle I don't know on the left. You don't have to do it that way. And then when you multiply this, put the number in front of the trig function. So I'm going to write that as 7 sine 73. Then I'm going to divide by 10.4. And this is sine of A when I do it on my calculator, okay? So if I go to my calculator and I do 7 sine 73, enter, remember you have to hit enter here, then divide by 10.4, does that look like an angle? No. So what I have to do then is what? Second sine. So I go second sine, second answer, and that will pull that down. What was that? Oh, yeah. You're right. Right here I should have done 10.4. Thank you. So it should have been 7 sine 73 enter divided by 10.4, and then second sine second answer. Did you get 40.07? Okay, thank you. So angle A then equals, the measure of angle A equals 40.07, and then once you find that goes here, and then you can easily find angle B by just adding those two together and subtracting from 180. So if I try that, I have 73 plus 40.07. That would give us 113.07. And then if I subtracted that from 180, did you guys get 66.93? Does that sound right? Okay, so 66.93. Okay, so on Schoology, you guys have a worksheet on there, and it has, that worksheet has problems for day 1, day 2, day 3, because we spend 3 days on this section. So you're gonna look at that worksheet and only do the ones that are listed for day 1. It's two-sided, so you'll do 3 problems on one side and 2 problems on the other. Does that make sense? Okay, and I'll try to find the key for you because I don't believe I posted it. So I'll try to find that for you.